GA4 is completely replacing Universal Analytics on July 1st, 2023. But with some preparation, we can make that transition go smoothly. I'm Nick Zada, a manager of strategy at Logical Position. And today, I'm gonna walk you through the top 5 UA reports carrying over to GA4.
All right, the first report we're gonna go ahead and take a dive into is going to be the combination of path lengths, time lag, and top conversion paths. In Universal Analytics, this is a scenario where all three of these reports are separate, and we're used to those being in our conversion section under multi-channel funnels, and then looking at our top conversion paths, time lag, and path length individually. In Google Analytics 4, these three reports are combined and look like this. So let's go ahead and dive into GA4 and where to find those reports. We can start by going on the left-hand side and going to advertising. And then under attribution, we want to go to conversion paths. When you first open this section here, what you'll first see are going to be your early touch points, mid touch points, and late touch points. And that is going to be related to your top conversion paths. If we scroll down, we'll see a very familiar table. This table is going to be your top conversion paths that's automatically defaulted to your channel group, but keep in mind, you can sort these by source, medium, or campaign. In this example, let's go ahead and look at medium. What we have on our right-hand side are going to be our days to conversion, which is going to be that time lag report that we are used to in Universal Analytics. And then we have our touch points to conversion, which is going to be that path lengths report that we know in Universal Analytics. So all three of these reports are built into Google Analytics 4 all in one table. Now, let's say if we wanted to just look at a specific source medium, let's say Google Ads, for instance, what we can do is up towards the top, we can click Add Filter. And we have a lot of dimensions we can go ahead and sort. But for this example, let's go ahead and choose our session source medium because that's what is very close to our Universal Analytics. Next, we have a lot of dimensions to look at, but in this case, we wanted to look at that Google CPC. Click OK. Hit apply. Now, by medium, we have all of our top conversion paths and our days to conversions and touchpoint conversions only when it's related to our Google CPC. If I scroll up, I can also see our early touch points, mid touch points, and late touch points as it relates to Google Ads, or also known as Google CPC. In this case, we know that Google Ads is very much a late touch point attribution for this specific account. Keep in mind, there are a lot more rows than what you see here. Change your rows per page from 10. You can go all the way up to 250, but it's important to look through these and see how you want to use that data. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the shopping behavior report. In Universal Analytics, where we're familiar with where this report is under conversions, e-commerce, and then shopping behavior. The shopping behavior report will show you step by step how many people are going from the very beginning of their session all the way to those transactions. In Google Analytics 4, that report is found under the Explore section on the left-hand side. And we want to actually go to our funnel exploration report. What we'll see once we open this view is a bunch of default metrics as well as steps that Google Analytics automatically knows with a specific account. Step 1 being their first visit, step 2 being session start, step 3 screen page view, and step 4 purchase. We can also edit our steps by clicking the pencil icon here, opening up our steps, and say we didn't want to see how many people are going to a page or screen view, and we can click the 3 dots here, remove the step. Alternatively, we can go ahead and add a step above our purchase, label that add to cart, add a new condition with the built-in event of add to cart. Now we can see on the right-hand side how many people have successfully finished all of these events in succession. Hit apply. And now we have same 4 steps, but we've removed the page or session start and replaced that with add to cart. So we can see how many people from the very beginning of their visit added to cart and then purchased out of those. You can also add different dimensions. By default, it goes by device, but we can change those to a multitude of different dimensions, such as gender, country, first user medium, or add anything custom with a list of dimensions from Google Analytics 4. All right, let's go ahead and jump into what is arguably the most common report in Universal Analytics, and that's going to be our source medium report. Under acquisition, all traffic, and our source medium report. This is the general overview of how all of our traffic acquisition is by source medium, the behavior, and overall transactions or conversions. In Google Analytics 4, you can find that report on the left-hand side by going to Reports. And then under Acquisition, we would want to choose Traffic Acquisition, as it closely relates to Universal Analytics. However, User Acquisition is another report that you can look into that's very similar. Under Traffic Acquisition, you'll see a very familiar table where you have all of your channels on the left-hand side. Keep in mind, it defaults to the channel group. You can change this by clicking the arrow here and selecting Session Source Medium, so it's a one-to-one comparison to Universal Analytics. Now that our table looks very identical to Universal Analytics, you'll see a bunch of different columns within here. However, all the columns in Google Analytics 4 are a bit different than what we're used to in Universal Analytics. You have your typical users and your sessions, but there's some new columns such as engaged sessions, which is the number of sessions that lasted longer than 10 seconds or had a conversion event or had 2 or more screen or page views. Average engagement time per session, engaged sessions per user, events per session, and engagement rate. Then on the right side, we have our familiar conversion count, but split up between events and conversions, unlike in Universal Analytics, where we just have conversions. In this dropdown, we'll be able to choose the different events we want to track by source medium, for instance. So if I wanted to look at how many people added to cart, I can choose add to cart, and the totals will populate based on all the source mediums. Conversions are the same way in that we can choose what conversion we want to particularly look at. We'll use purchase as an example, and we can see how many transactions happened by each source medium and the total revenue associated to each source medium. Next, let's go ahead and jump into the product performance report. That report is found in Universal Analytics by going to Conversions, E-commerce, and Product Performance. The product performance report will illustrate how many products sold over a given time period and how many unique purchases and revenue are associated to those. In Google Analytics 4, we can find that report by going on the left-hand side and choosing Reports, Monetization, and E-commerce purchases. Inside of this report, you'll see a couple graphs, and on the bottom, you'll see a very familiar list of the different item names and how many purchases that were associated to each item. Keep in mind, you can search for an item using the search bar at the top. There's also a drop-down menu where you can choose item ID, different item categories, or by item brand if you wanted to look at your items by any of these different filters. Next, let's go ahead and jump into the interest reports that are available in Google Analytics 4. Where these were previously in Universal Analytics is under Audience and Interests, where they were segmented by affinity, in-market, and your other categories. In Google Analytics 4, all 3 of those reports in Universal Analytics are combined into just one report in Google Analytics 4. You can find the report by going into Reports, and then under User, go to User Attributes, and then Demographic Details. You'll see a couple default graphs at the top, and it defaults to country, but you can select country at the drop-down menu and choose any of the options here, but in this case, we're going to choose our interests. What you'll see here is a list of all of the interests, no matter if it's in market, affinity, or other. It's a lot easier to see these audiences all in one place so you can compare and contrast and see what are your most engaged audiences and which audiences are converting the most for you to be able to use in other ad platforms.
So those are the top 5 UA reports carrying over to GA4. But there's more to GA4 than that. We encourage you to get in the GA4 sandbox and start playing around with it to get more familiar now. And if you need any additional help getting a grip on GA4, just reach out to us today at logicalposition.com.